begin our workshop session. And the first item on the workshop session agenda is a public hearing to receive comments on the adoption of the proposed millage rate for fiscal year 2020-2021. This is the first of 3 public hearings scheduled to receive public comments. We will be soliciting public comments at our next workshop meeting at 6:00 p.m. and then we'll be voting at our second meeting in October at the 7:30 meeting. So you have several opportunities to have your voice heard regarding the millage rate. So at this time, Ms. Moore, I believe, can you outline a little bit about how people, if they choose to make their voices heard in regards to this public hearing, how they can do so?
Yes, the link is posted on the city's webpage under council meetings, and you would click on the link. Once you're in, you need to raise your hand, and then you will be acknowledged by the mayor or Mr. Hicks. Once your hand is, once you do your public hearing, you will no longer be able to speak. So after that, you're done, and we'll go on to the next person.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Have you received any written comments regarding this issue?
Not public comment, not regarding the public hearing, no, just citizen remarks.
Okay, but not related to the millage rate?
No, ma'am.
Thank you. All right, we'll give everyone an opportunity to log on if they wish. And if you wish to make a public comment during this public hearing, what you would need to do is click the raise hand button. So we might have the opportunity to hear from you regarding the proposed millage rate. So at this time, I'll declare the public hearing open. And if anyone wishes to comment regarding the millage rate, they can go ahead and press the raise hand button. I'll leave it open for a little bit longer because I want to make sure that everyone has the opportunity to go online and click through if they wish. I recognize that in our current environment, there are some challenges in making sure that we have access. And so, Ms. Moore, can you also let folks know where, if they choose to, if they're unable to, say, log into Zoom, that where they might reach out to you so their comments may be read at the next public hearing?
Yes, they can send an email to pcomment@collegeparkga.com, and I will be able to receive their comment that way. So
just make sure that the subject matter on that is in regard to the millage rate proposal. So we are able to discern that from the typical public comment that we hear at the start of the 7:30 meeting. So I don't see any raised hands.
Mayor, I don't see anyone on the list of participants that does not appear to be either staff or council.
I would concur with your assessment. So at this time, I will declare the public hearing closed. We will move on to item number 2, and I believe that our city planner, Michelle Alexander, is going to be leading the conversation regarding this, but it is considerations regarding direction to proceed with the services of the Atlanta Regional Commission to update the City of College Park Comprehensive Plan.
Mayor, good evening, everybody. It's that time where we update our comprehensive plan. I don't have a presentation. It's a straightforward memo in the packet, as well as a sample agreement and a list of the scope that the Atlanta Regional Commission provides participating cities who wish to get assistance from the ARC and not go out and spend, general funds to pay for a contractor. The comprehensive plan is every 5 years, every 5 years to update, but then there's every 10 years is to do a complete update. What the Atlanta Regional Commission will provide is some of the analysis, and they'll do some of the sections and the land use chapters and update that. They also help us with some of the outreach. But it's a basic set of services that they provide, and it's a great service to have as a basic set. But that said, we do want to augment what that deliverable is. So there will be some staff time involved. So I made a list of some of those things in your memo of the things that I think we really need to add on top of what ARC could provide for us. And also there will be some communications, because I know the community will want to have more than just one community meeting. We really want to take advantage of what the comprehensive plan can do for us. And just a reminder, part of the comprehensive plan is also a 5-year work plan. So it's a great supplement to what we've just gone through with the strategic planning, which looks at our operations. And looks at the community. What are the goals that the community wants, and how do we want our growth to be managed in the future? So it's a great, in my opinion, it's great timing for us to undertake this. If you approve this or give us direction, we'll proceed to complete the agreement, a memo of understanding with ARC. They told me that they're updating it. So there'll be some refinement. And then we'll just bring it back to you for your approval at hopefully the next meeting, if that's the direction you'd like us to go in.
I agree with you that I think this is great timing. Where we are right now, I think this is a fantastic conversation to have, and we have the ability to build on some of the momentum that we've been able to gain, and other ways that we are able to reach out to people. I'm hopeful that we can take this comprehensive plan conversation. When I saw that it was that they guaranteed one meeting, I thought, oh no, we're going to need to do more than that. But I think we can, and I think that has been one of the silver linings of this entire pandemic, is that we've found ways to communicate with our residents and our stakeholders that in some ways have been more effective. And I think that it's led to increased engagement, and I'm hopeful that that will carry over to this plan as well. So I'm certainly enthusiastic about the direction. Anyone else? I'm sure there's other thoughts about it.
Well, Michelle, I got answers to my questions that I sent to you over the weekend. The one thing I wanted to clarify, though, is, and I guess it's particularly emphasized by the fact that they don't really have the form of the agreement in its final form because they're modifying it. So normally if you get your name in soon enough, or you say, yes, you want their support, they guarantee you that they're going to get it done by your commitment date. So given the fact that you've already talked to them, which you indicated to me, and given the fact that they're changing the agreement, can we assume correctly that they are guaranteeing that if we sign up now, that they will get it done in time?
Yes. In fact, I spoke with them in the summer, earlier in the summer, because they were already reaching out precisely for the reason to make sure they had enough resources. And then they had anticipated a kickoff would be in October. So absolutely, they're aware of timing of when we need to have a draft completed, so that it can then go through a couple months worth of review time and be adopted in a timely fashion. Yes, we talked about the schedule.
And do we need to approve this tonight?
Well, it isn't on the regular agenda, but I guess it could be if you want to, as long as you give authority to the city manager to make minor modifications to the administrative modifications. They won't be substantive. There is no cost associated with it. So that's an easier way to go.
Councilman Allen, if I may, just to respond, I think the recommendation from the Office of the City Manager would be to offer consensus. That way we can bring back a solid, cohesive recommendation for the October 5th regular meeting. That way we'll be able to fine tune the agreement considerations based on the dialogue this evening.
That sounds more than adequate, given the current situation. And then we just have it on the full agenda once, or the regular meeting agenda once.
Yes, sir. That's correct.
All right. So is there consensus to proceed?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Great.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Item number 3 is considerations regarding illegal dumping at the Jamestown Plaza Recycling Center. And I think this is actually going to be a broader conversation about recycling in general, but I think our Director of Public Works, Mike Mason, is heading this up. Mr. Mason, how are you?
His mic is mute.
Okay, I just
I'm
unmuted.
here. Yes. You're breaking up a little bit. I'm sorry. I didn't hear the dialogue.
I just offered greetings. I asked how
good,
you
good,
were.
good.
How are you?
Good evening, Mary. I'm doing well, Mayor Council. Thank you.
All right. So I know a couple of meetings ago in his comments at the end of the meeting, Councilman Gay had brought up some issues regarding illegal dumping at the Jamestown Recycling Center. And Councilman Gay, I'm not going to put words in your mouth, but if you wanted to elaborate on that at all.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mayor. So there had been a lot of people bringing more than recycle. I was told that the Goodwill and places like that were not taking a lot of people's goods and services, so they just started dropping them off at our recycle. I'm happy to report, and I'm sure Mr. Mason will elaborate, that he has come up with some real effective techniques along with IT Director Michael Hicks. So I'll let them take it from here.
Again, good evening, Mayor and Council. Several things as I listed in the workshop agenda, steps that we took to try to curb some of the illegal dumping that was occurring at the Jamestown Recycling Center. And one was the installation of a camera. There was a camera out there at one time years ago, but I believe that was relocated to another location. So we were able to, working with Mike Hicks and his team, was able to have a camera installed out there, which I believe over this past weekend, they were able to capture some activity as far as legal dumping. So that's been a plus. And working with the police department and Chief Furman Williford, he said that he would increase patrol of the recycling site in an effort to try to curb some of the illegal dumping or catch folks that's engaging in that activity. We also place additional surveillance signs around there to notify people where they come into that area that they are under surveillance as a deterrent as well to curb some of that activity. And one of the things that we looking into pricing is to use pedestrian barricades to try to limit access to the containers. In other words, if someone had recyclable material, they would have to get out of their car and walk into the area that we had sort of barricaded off to place their items in the containers. Therefore, people couldn't drive up to the dumpsters and just dump their material behind the dumpsters or alongside of them, as what was occurring before. One other thing that we did was last thing was try to limit a number of containers out there. The area was spread out so wide that folks it just was a free for all. So we tried to shorten the area, similar to what we have over at Harvard Avenue, to try to get people to try to limit their ability to do illegal dumping unless they dumped outside a recycling center. So those are steps that we taken, and we're going to monitor those and hopefully bring a report back to Mayor and Council as far as the effectiveness of those things that we have in place.
And Mike, just to add to that, this is based on our discussion this morning, the strategies and opportunities to be responsive is applicable at all recycling centers. So yourself working with the police department, et cetera, will be made available citywide, yes?
That is correct. Yes.
Thank you.
I got a couple of questions. The cameras that you all had, those were cameras we already had?
Yes,
Did you
sir.
take-
Yes, sir, they were. As a matter of fact, we put 2 cameras out there instead of 1. We put 1
Great.
camera at the entrance to get a shot of your tag when you go through. Then we put another camera at the end where the dumpsters are to get a shot of your facial as you leave out. So we got 2 cameras, and we had those cameras in stock, so we just redeployed them.
Who monitors those cameras? Who checks those or watches them or whatever?
Well, I mean, I've asked my technician to do it, to just watch them. I didn't tell him to watch them 8 hours a day, but
No.
I just told him to watch not only that area, but he watches the whole city. So, and if Mike's team wants to pull some data, some video from it, we're able to do that.
But Michael Hicks, those cameras are part of the overall city surveillance network. They're not like the cameras we had there before, which were communicating by cellular and they were somewhat intermittent. Is that correct? They're part of the regular surveillance network now?
Yes, sir, that is correct. We have them
Okay,
on.
so that means those cameras are recording all the time.
Yes, sir, that is correct.
And that means that we can go back, if we find something, we can go back and we can fast forward through that. If you see somebody driving up in a big pickup truck, unloading, it'll show up when you scan through that.
Yeah. I went out there on Friday and walked around to make sure that my technician could zoom in on me and see me. So they work very well.
Good.
Fantastic. When do you think it would make sense to come back with a report? 30, 60, 90 days?
Yeah, I was thinking maybe, yes, anywhere, at least 45 to 60 days would be fine.
Okay. So
For this body.
that puts us November-ish?
It will put us for approximately the November 16th meeting. So if we could make a note for the November 16th, 2020 workshop meeting to provide a follow-up update in that regard. That's 10 days prior to Thanksgiving, Michael, that would be okay?
Yes, sir.
All
Absolutely.
right. Great. And I think, Mr. Mason, you got word that I was going to ask some questions about broader recycling issues.
Yes, Madam
Okay,
Mayor.
great.
Yes.
Never want to spring it on you as a complete surprise. But I know that some residents had been concerned about where's the recycling going? How is it going into the system, and which streams are we using, especially given the fact that some of the traditional takers of our recycling are no longer doing that. China is not, and there's been backups on certain items, like I think cardboard is one of them. I think that that's
Yes.
not one that's getting recycled that well at this point. So what's happening to our recycling? Is it really getting recycled? And what can residents do to help the process along?
Well, to answer your first question, yes, it is being recycled. We're taking all our single stream to Pratt Industries. There are the ones that we haul it there, and they doing recycling as part of their process and the material that they making. So it's being converted to whatever products that they're making for their market. Glass, we still taking that to Strategic here in College Park for the recycling of glass. So that is still taking place. So we are recycling, taking our material to recycling facility. The only way that material will not be taken to recycling facility if it's contaminated. If someone put garbage or things of that nature, paint cans or whatever inside any one of those containers that we have identifying what material goes in there. So that will be taken to our regular refuge supplier and that is Republican Services that will handle that, our refuge there at a transfer station in East Point. So that hopefully answer those questions, Madam Mayor.
Yes, and one other thing that keeps on coming up, and I know that you've looked at this from time to time, but the option of curbside recycling.
Yes, we have the department put together a survey that we discussed as far as sending it out to residents to get their an opportunity to they give their input on whether they would prefer curbside recycling versus our recycling centers that we have. So we looked at several private haulers. I think in previous discussions, we talked about having a private hauler do that. What we looked at is what pricing would that be for our citizens? And that's something that we also included in the survey as far as would people be willing to pay for that extra service to have curbside recycling pickup. So it's just a matter, I think I've shared the survey that we have with several members. I don't have an issue with, of course, this body recommends that I share that with everybody and get any feedback that you guys may have so I can input that in the survey and we can get that out as soon as possible.
So what was can you give me and forgive me if I was one of the people you talked to about it, please. But what was were residents generally receptive to the idea? Because it would be something that would be an extra cost, correct?
Yes, but we haven't sent the survey out as of yet. I think I was waiting for some feedback, and I did get a little feedback by one council member that I was going to move forward to maybe expand that a little bit, or at least consider it as far as other sanitation services that we are providing, as far as the twice a week pickup, going behind the house, whether it's curbside pickup. So it's kind of was expanded, but the actual recycling survey is ready. And it's just a matter of, like I said, I'll get that out first thing in the morning and get feedback, and then I can get it to the printer and we can start printing and mailing them out to our residents so we can get them back in and see what the response is as far as whether there's a desire to have curbside recycling in College Park.
Any other questions?
Michael, I just got one comment. I've noticed that there are several people who come to our recycle bin and remove the aluminum and some other materials. Can you make sure that most of the dumpsters are the lock type dumpsters that only limit us to put the stuff in the dumpster and not take stuff out?
Yeah, I can look into that. See if there's, usually when people come with aluminum, they have bags. And I just have to see if we can get an opening large enough to handle that type of volume. If it just, we have something similar on cardboards where we can lock it down and have a slot in front of it where people can just slide their cardboard in that slot. I would have to take a look at it to see. Otherwise, we just need to encourage those folks not to do that. Yes, sir.
Mike, I had a couple of things. First off, I have a comment that's really for everybody who's listening to this presentation. And that is that despite all the hard work and efforts of the responsible people who really, really want to recycle and do the job right, all it takes is one or two people who don't care to throw, as you said, paint cans in the aluminum bin or garbage in with the cardboard, and they can spoil the whole load. And then it doesn't go to recycling. It goes to the same place that the garbage would have gone in the first place. So that's something to think about for everybody out there. The second thing I wanted to mention was that you and I have talked a little bit on this subject, and I had gotten some feedback from people that they wouldn't be inclined to pay extra for curbside recycling service from a private firm. And I know full well with our financial situation in the city the way it is, there is no way in my mind that I could see myself voting for free curbside recycling unless we cut back something else in services. And cutting back in those services might be eliminating one of the 2 pickups a week. It might be in not picking up trash from the rear of the house unless the owner is specifically asked for it, and it wouldn't be a charge for it. It's just if someone's old and infirm and they can't take their trash out to the curb and they have a lot of trash, yeah, they put a little sticker on their mailbox or something. So I think those are some of the issues that are driving this whole thing. And I think when you put your survey out, I think you're going to take those things into account. And I think people need to pay careful attention to that.
I think it makes sense that as part of the survey that you ask those bigger questions about, the twice a week pickup. What's the trade-off? What kind of trade-off are you willing to live with if this were to be something that was a reality in College Park? So, heck, if folks are filling out a survey anyway, you might as well get them to answer all the questions we want to know, right? Anyone else have any questions or any comments? All right. Hearing none, that is the conclusion of the workshop session. I'll see everyone at 7:30.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.